Hello, Mr. Temi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi, how are you?
Um, yeah, good evening. It's we are very happy to have you on the show today, and I'm very glad you are happy to be here too. So, how are you doing, sir?
Fine, thank you. Very fine.
Yeah, basically, this is open source Wednesday, and basically, what we are intend to do is to talk to people and motivate other people to come to open source. And apart from talking about open source project that we have out there, we are very happy to talk to people that are passionate about motivating young ones to do better in this tech ecosystem, basically. So those are the things we normally do on open source Wednesday, and we are very happy to have you today discussing about hackathon. Basically, we know the impact of hackathon, what hackathon can bring. In fact, it can be source of a project that can be turned to an open source at the end of the day. So those are the things that inspire us to bring you down here, and we know you've been doing more than what we've seen. Being an organizer of e-government hackathon, we know what it takes. Basically, I was there and I know all how it went and everything that comes into it, basically. So we are very happy to have you on the show, and we will be starting by just hearing from you. We are very sure you will be in the evening, as we all are in the evening now, and a little bit about yourself. Yes, sir.
All right. Sorry, I had to turn off my video because I'm trying to conserve bandwidth. But if you can still hear me, I think I can leave the video on for a while I go ahead. So yeah, I'm Temi Kolawole. My background
Yeah,
in
bye.
tech goes a while back. Um, I've been a software engineer for many years. I think I started uh, building as I started as a web developer as far back as maybe like 19 no 2000 and let me not scare anybody. It's not that far back. Let's say maybe 2003 is when I started programming. Before you people start thinking I'm one old man, which I'm not. But anyway, yeah, I started that a while back, a few decades ago. So as a web designer, very early on, I started using. Then there was not really much CSS, to be honest. HTML was what we all used to build web pages in the early days, and I think I built my first web page. Um, Maybe like in the late 90s. But by the time I was in university, I went to Babcock University in 2003. Before I graduated, I had already come up with a name for my own company so I can start my own web design business. But one of the earliest tools that I started using was WordPress. I think that was also when WordPress was very new, when WordPress just got developed. I think I built the first WordPress website that I did in 2006. And ever since then, I mean, I think I've probably embarked on hundreds of different WordPress projects over the years. So my company that I said I already had a concept. I conceptualized it already while I was in university. By the time I graduated, I just went straight to that. And I ran that in the US for a while with one of my friends who was a partner. But I, for some reason, just always wanted to do stuff back here in Nigeria, So I started getting some clients in Nigeria. I started building sites for them while I was still in the US. And then for some reason, the website that I built started looking so um, much more modern than what was out there at the time. So I think my work stood out, and I started getting a lot of demand for more people who wanted to build websites with WordPress. And the major advantage of that is it's very easy for them to manage the content themselves. So that was the very first one of the first tools that one could use to manage content. I think there was WordPress, there was also Joomla, there was also Drupal. I don't think a lot of people will know these open source tools right now, but back then those were the three major ones that we had, and they all had huge communities. They all had plugins. They all had templates and themes. So you had to really like learn how each of these platforms worked. They were all PHP based at the time. And then later on, I guess when things started changing on the web, we started getting more JavaScript libraries. I tried my best to learn tools like Angular at the time because I always like keeping up with new technologies. And I did that for a while. While I ran my web design business, I consulted for a lot of organizations like state governments, Tony Elumelu Foundation, S Holdings, and Tony's group of companies. I think I did like three or four websites for them at the time. And my company then, we used to handle all of their corporate communications, newsletters, and everything. So this was like in the 2000s. By then, I had moved back to Nigeria, and my company was based in Lagos. We were a small team of like 3 to 4 people. Later, I got an opportunity that opened up for me in Kwara State. This was in 2000 and late 2015, 16. And I just, didn't mind the change of environment. I felt I'm from Kwara, obviously, so I just felt like let me see what I could do to help my state. And I came here, and I've been here since. Now I'm the MD of the Zoe Innovation Hub. I don't regret it. I'm happy that I made the decision to come down here, and I'm able to, I think impact a lot more lives now. So that's really what drives me now more than anything, being able to help the next generation. When we were starting and we were learning how to code and all of that, we didn't have anybody to mentor us. It was still very new. It was not something common that a lot of people had started doing in Nigeria yet. There was only a few of us, and we all really knew each other in the industry. So founder of Paystack, Shola, is a good friend of mine who went to the same university as me. We know each other. Anybody who had a startup at that early stage, we all knew each other. But you can't say that anymore in Nigeria now because there's so many people now that are into tech, so many companies, so many different ecosystems.
So
We
many
have people in Lagos,
startups.
yeah, so many startups. It has
Exactly.
grown a very, very long way from where it was when we started. So I'm very happy and pleased to be able to be part of this and help push the new generation. I mean, I obviously cannot sit down and continue to write code the way I used to back in the day because I have so many more official responsibilities. But deep down in my heart and in my blood, I'm still a programmer. I can still open any code base and understand it in almost any language, and I'm very interested in guiding young people based on the experience that I've had over the years into being successful either in their careers, at their jobs, or running a startup. So I think that covers the first set of questions.
Yeah, yeah, I guess you that's a very amazing story in 10 minutes. While listening to the story, I was like, okay, it be like say I've not started anything. Okay, I think you had a lot of experience in the industry, and you are still you are still building this particular experience by looking for a way to mentor upcoming people like us basically. So I think it's a very nice story to hear, and I guess I'm motivated already, like okay, I guess I need to do more so as to be able to get to where we are going in the long run basically. So thank you so much for sharing that story with us. It's really helped. And we can go straight to the business of the day, and that is we want to talk about hackathons. We know that basically we'll start from the scratch by asking how can you define an hackathon. When some people hear it, they'll be like, okay, probably it's for some people called hackers, and when you talk of hackers, you talk of probably people think to be cybersecurity people that break into system, do a lot of stuff together. So basically, in your own terms, how can you define an hackathon to everybody?
Okay, so the word hack, I think, has more of a negative um, connotation. When we hear hack, you think, oh, it means you are breaking into somewhere that you are not supposed to do, or you are hijacking, or somebody's account was hacked. But in this particular case, when you talk of hackathon, I think let me start with the word marathon. So when you talk of a marathon, you see a lot of people come together to run a race. So they come together to run a long distance in a very short time, I would say. You run a marathon, and when you're running a marathon, you don't enter the marathon and you start walking. Obviously, you run. So I can almost compare that as the same type of thing. It's a place where I won't say hackers, but tech professionals come together to achieve a lot in a long time. The same way a marathon is. Marathons are usually like 1,000 kilometers, 1,000 meters, 5,000 meters, 10,000 meters. Not short distances at all. So that's really what it is in a hackathon. You want people to come together for a short period of time to focus on achieving some particular goals or building certain things. But a hackathon is not limited to just building. There's also other words that have come out of hackathon, like designathon, where people are supposed to design certain things within that short time. So they're just different forms of, I would say, software development marathons where you want to come together and achieve a marathon in software development. It's as simple as that. So that's really what I would say a hackathon is. Um, but the most important part for me is the
Yeah,
results. So the real
yeah.
goal is
I think
to
that
come
that's
out,
it.
yeah, to come out with a very tangible result at the end of the day from the event. That's the main goal.
Yeah, I think you really do well by giving us that illustration of a marathon. It's it actually explain the concept of an hackathon. You have to work with others, collaborate with others to make it a success. And along the line, you guys are working towards achieving one particular goal to become probably first and make your country proud, or your the person you are representing proud, and all of that. Yeah,
Or
it's
to solve a particular
really
problem.
capture everything. And at this point, when we are talking about hackathon, what make it a bit different from just running is that you are solving a problem. You are solving a problem. And to go with the MLH concept, MLH is Major League Hacking. They said if you want to talk about hackathon would be collaboration. You collaborate, you build, and you share. So apart from building, you still get a platform to share with other people what you've built during the hackathon process. So basically, hackathon is where you come together to build, to collaborate with others. While collaborating to build something, at the end of the day, you have to share it with people, and people get to know that, oh, this guy has done so many things, and this is what they've done, like we did in the e-government hackathon that we'll be talking about very soon. So basically, that's a definition for hackathon. So the next question I will be asking you is, why do you think hackathon really matters to us? Why should we just why do we need to collaborate to build and share with other people and be a kind of in a competitive environment where people are fighting towards a goal and something like that? Why do you think hackathon really matters?
So a hackathon matters because once again, I'll start from the last thing I mentioned in defining a hackathon. It's really all about the end result, right? So the reason why a hackathon matters really is because you are trying to achieve a particular type of result. In our own case, we were not trying to solve just one problem, but we looked at several problems in a certain area. And what's that area? We looked at government. Um, so a hackathon matters because you are bringing people from different places together to solve a problem. I think I lost Rashid there.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with
From
you. I just make you
okay,
a
okay, okay,
spotlight.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll continue. I'll continue.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're bringing people together. You're taking them away from whatever they were doing to come and focus on something. So, I mean, everybody has something that they're doing somewhere before. We had students, many people were in school, some people were working, people have different things going on in their lives. When you bring them together for a hackathon and close them from the rest of the world for a particular period, you are really allowing them to focus. They're going to get more done in that short time because their concentration or full focus is on that. And because it's a competition, there's also motivation to finish best and finish first, or however it's structured, because there's a competition. So you also want to outperform other people. If you ask developers to just start working on a project, they might drag their feet, they might not finish on time, they might have excuses, they might work on other things in between while they are working on the project. But in a hackathon, you know that okay, this is just a few days and this is what we're trying to achieve. And then everybody can go back to what they're doing before. So it matters because it's usually the way hackathons are structured, they are structured to yield a lot of positive results and to make a lot of impact. So many things that we use today also came out as a result of hackathons. You can also call a hackathon a form of competition with brainstorming and collaboration. You come together, you share ideas, you brainstorm. Some things, I think it was on Facebook, they said the like button on Facebook came to be as a result of a hackathon where people at Facebook just
Wow.
came together to brainstorm and think of what they can do to increase engagement. And somebody came up with a like button and built a like button. So maybe different other things were also built that did not end up getting used. But that like button is still in use till today and has become a part of almost every social media platform. If you don't have a like button, yeah, no, you're really wasting your time. So hackathons matter because of the end results. The end results are usually very, very impactful.
Thank you so much. Like, it's a kind of a recap for that. Like, okay, um, so many things can come out of hackathon, and these things that we are talking about that can come out is bringing innovation to an existing product, or even coming out or coming up with new things that has not been in existence before. Okay, so we've seen the reason why it matters. So we need to look into it in two ways, because majorly we'll say we need two set of people to be able to have what is called an hackathon. We need a participant or a group of participants, and as well, we need somebody that will be like, okay, I'm organizing an hackathon, basically. So, what do you think should be a starting point for a person that wants to organize an hackathon? Be it a mini hackathon, be it a global one, or a very small hackathon, basically.
I think the first thing to do is to have a purpose. Okay, so what exactly are you trying to achieve with the hackathon? I think that's the very first place to start. I mean, yeah, you can have a hackathon for just the fun of having a hackathon and people come together to do something. But if you don't have a particular purpose that you're trying to achieve, then it's really not going to bring the desired results. So I think the first thing is to know what you're trying to achieve with the hackathon. Okay, is this to solve a particular problem? Is this to solve a set of problems? Is this for a particular industry? For example, you can say you want to do a hackathon for agricultural tech, agri-tech hackathon, and focus on solutions only in that field. We focused on government, you know. We will have more hackathons in the future that will also focus on other things. There can easily be something that will be an AI hackathon, you know. So the purpose of um, the mission, I would say, is very important.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Having a purpose for you if you want to organize a better hackathon or a successful hackathon in the long run. So you need to create a purpose for yourself as an organizer. So from the part
You
of
only asked me what's the first
well,
thing. That's the first thing to do. But there's so many other things that you have to do. But I said let me not go into all
okay,
of them.
okay, probably you
That's
should exactly. We'll talk more about that basically when we move on. We are just introducing ourselves into an hackathon to know what it's all about, and
Okay.
If I want to organize, what should be my mindset? That's what
Okay.
we are trying to create a background of what we want to achieve, basically. And
Yeah.
I believe with our time, we will be able to achieve that, basically. Yeah. So, what should be a mindset of a participant? Because someone will be like, "Ah, let me just go to an hackathon and win. Once I collect their money, I just jackpot, just forget about their project." And what do you think should be the first thing in the mind of a person that want to participate in an hackathon?
I think the first thing that should happen in the mind of somebody participating in a hackathon is be, the prize money is not even the biggest gain that you can get from a hackathon, to be very honest. I think there's so many more things that you can gain from a hackathon that are worth more than the prizes that are being awarded. Yes, every tech person or startup wants to have a prize for their work and their efforts to be able to achieve something. But if you didn't attend the hackathon in the first place, there's no prize anyways, Abby, right? So I feel, or if you don't win, I mean, you can't hold anybody if you don't win. You can attend and participate and still not win. So that's why I think it's better to focus on the things that everybody can gain from a hackathon, not just the winners. And what I've seen from what we did recently is that building a network is one very huge benefit of a hackathon. You meet so many other like people who are working who have similar skills than you that as you, people who are also students or who are also into tech. Maybe you have you know um, some people that you are working with, and you might need to consider maybe somebody who is an expert in another particular technology that maybe one of your friends or your team members does not have. So it lets you expand your network. If the hackathon is properly organized, you will also be able to meet other people that are not contestants. So hackathons can have mentors too. Those mentors are usually people who are strong in their industries and can always be of help and bring or create opportunities for the participants even after beyond the event. That's what's happening in our own case. We have tried to match participants with mentors too, not just me wanting to mentor or our team alone mentoring. We also brought other people to come and mentor and guide some of the people in the process in what they are doing.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so
some
much.
of some of the other
Okay.
things I think, just to run through real quick, is a hackathon actually can have different levels of organization depending on the resources available. Um, but like you said, I think we'll get into some of those things later.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you so much for that. And yes, at this point now that we've gotten a kind of background of what an hackathon is, as an organizer, what's an hackathon, what should be my first mindset, like having a purpose as an organizer, and for the participants ready to benefit from wherever the organizer is creating for them. We've all gotten a background for that. So we'll be for the next couple of questions, we'll be focusing on the organizers. Along the way, we'll talk about e-government hackathon as a case study, and from the points of organizers, you are going to be telling us what you observe and all of that. So the first question would be, for me to have a good purpose, I have to have a kind of motivation if I want to organize an hackathon. So what do you think
Or
should be my
something that you want,
motivation for
a
organizing
problem,
an
a problem
hackathon?
that you want to solve. Yeah, have a problem that you want to solve,
Yeah,
or have
so
something that you
using
want to
that,
achieve.
yeah. So using that, we'll say what should be motivation, basic motivation for me to organize an hackathon. Okay, yeah,
Okay, as an organizer, first of all, you're going to meet so many new talents that you didn't know before. As a hackathon organizer, you are exposing yourself to a huge network of maybe developers or designers or programmers. Um, that's one advantage. So for any other needs that comes up in the future, there's so many people that you've already gained access to that can provide solutions. I think that's one part. Second is you also have an opportunity to be part of something big very early. So depending on how the terms and conditions of the hackathon, some hackathons, when you attend them or you build stuff there, the code actually belongs to the hackathon. That's how some certain people run the hackathons, you know. For some hackathons, you take the final product, you have a ready market. Some of the problems that you solve in the hackathon might have a waiting market or clients, you know, that it can be deployed to. So that's not really for the organizers, but that's the chance of creating something new that did not exist before. You can create a startup from there. A new company can be born from there, which you obviously played a part in creating. Um, what else as an organizer can I see as a benefit?
Okay,
And
how do we
I
get
think
participants
the
in?
biggest, I think the biggest benefit for organizers is also the fact that it helps you also further grow and develop your ecosystem. So you have so many people that have been in your ecosystem or your audience before. You have now brought them together. That forms a stronger bond, and obviously the ecosystem will not remain the same after such events. Like I cannot say the ecosystem in Ilorin is the same as it was before we did what we just did. Obviously, this has triggered a lot of other things. New teams have been formed. Some new companies are finishing up their products now because they want to get to market, and these are people that never thought of building these solutions before. But now they have attended a hackathon and they built solutions that have commercial value. So those are some of the benefits for the different parties involved, both organizers and participants.
And the participants? Yeah, I think that really makes sense, and it's a kind of a brief of everything that needs to be put in place to make it an hackathon a success. So the next question will be on the part of organizers to, I could remember as a community developer, what I do basically is trying to organize events, bring people together. One of the way we bring people together is by organizing workshops, organizing meetups, organizing all kind of tech events, just to bring talents together to train some of the people that are interested in learning new skills, those that are interested in upskill their skill in learning technology they wish. That's what we are doing. And one way we think we can move forward is by organizing a hackathon. And one problem that has been pushing us away from organizing a hackathon is getting right sponsorship and partnership and funding. Okay, so you'll be like, okay, if you bring these people together and at the end of the day, they build fantastic things, and we need to reward them for what they did, like their work. We need to reward them for the work they've done, basically. So we do find it difficult, even if you organize something like that. It is very, very difficult for us. We get little sponsors outside, but then how do you think as an organizer we can get partnership, sponsorship and funding for our hackathon?
So that's like the tricky part, because we are lucky to be backed by state governments. So the Kwara state government was actually able to completely fund our hackathon. But yeah, we still reached out to a lot of sponsors, and sometimes sponsors don't always contribute financially. So if you remember, we had one of the sponsors that provided Wi-Fi, provided wireless
Fiber
internet
one.
at the venue. Exactly. We did not pay 1 naira for that. So for the 2 days that we ran the hackathon, they even ran fiber to the venue. You know,
Wow.
you have to also create value because we looked at it as okay. Did you? Let me just ask. I don't want to know if this is. Did you really know much about Fiber One before the hackathon that we held?
No, that's the first time I'm seeing them.
You see, so there's probably so many other people too that heard about them for the first time that day. So they've gained exposure, they've gained potential customers. We just have to create that value. We already know the audience that we're trying to attract. So you have to now think, okay, so who are the kind of corporate bodies that would like to reach this type of audience that we have? We had another sponsor, Hugo Host. They provided cloud servers during the hackathon. We did not pay 1 naira for that either, but they've gained exposure to our market. We did a lot of promotion. We had their logo everywhere during the events. We sent out materials and banners that had sponsor logos. So we created awareness and visibility. We even did extra social media posts for our sponsors. That did not cost us any money. So you also have to be creative about how to make money. We also got support from a bank. Even though they didn't end up making it down, they were going to come that day and offer account opening for anybody that wanted to open an account that day. Maybe that might not be a huge thing that people there want to do. Maybe students are not really looking to open another account, but who knows? You might just end up opening that account and they might end up coming and gaining several other new accounts from them. So we had several sponsors to support. Some supported financially, but the major funding came from the Kwara State government. How do you get funding? I think
Okay.
you need to
Yeah.
start small. If you are starting out from scratch, you cannot start big. We started big because we have a whole state behind us. But if you can't do that, it's good to show some level of effort, some level of coordination, and have a track record that you can put together. It might take 2 or 3 hackathons that you might be able to do, maybe with your own funds, before you now start getting the attention of bigger sponsors that will now be like, okay, you know what? Your sponsors don't even have to be big. Your sponsors can be small businesses in your area. Maybe somebody around where you are having your hackathon has food. Somebody can provide some snacks for free, and you promote and market the person. They are all tech people. I think in the tech societies, I think we all have people who are very good with social media marketing. So you can promote a lot of your potential sponsors online. Give them visibility. If you even have to go as far as maybe building a website or a solution for some of your potential sponsors or
Potential
partners at the
sponsor.
very early stage or the beginning, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Just do something that you can create a relationship with, and most of all of that also has to do with relationship. Many of the brands that were at our e-government hackathon were not just people that came because they want to come and be in Quara or they want to be part of, but they're people that personally I've over the course of my career built good relationships with. So I have a good relationship with somebody working in this company. I have a good relationship with somebody working in this. I have a good relationship with the CEO of this company. So if I ever reach out and say, I need a favor with this, it will not be hard for them to respond. So you guys should all take that very seriously right now. You're all in universities right now. The average student is broke. So you can't look at anybody as rich or poor. When you graduate and you start working, that's when you start knowing who is making money or not. So don't look down on anybody and think, oh, this guy doesn't have anything to offer me now. You're in school. Your life has not started. It might be 10, 15 years from now that that person might be a bank manager or the CEO of one company, and then something you are doing can get a partnership from that person. So it's all about personal relationships. Build as many good relationships as you can within and outside of your campus, and it will not be hard to. It's really all about networking. Who do you know at the end of the day when it comes to sponsorship? And it's very hard for companies or brands to sponsor strangers or people that or where they don't really know anybody. It will take more to convince them than it will take somebody who knows you already or who has known you for a long time. The country manager of the UK Nigeria Tech Hub that came to Ilorin for our hackathon is somebody that I've known for over 10 years. I'm friends with
Hmm.
the lady and I'm friends with her husband, you know. So to drag those type of people down to Ilorin or anywhere I want to drag them to will not be
It
too
will be
hard.
very easy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for giving us an insight and some of tricks that we can use to get sponsors. We've first spent our time we need to take some other parts. Like this is the last question I will be asking as regards the organizers basically before we run things up. And the organizer they need to measure their impacts. Like okay, we've been able to our purpose that we created in the beginning and we've been able to achieve it. And how the question now is how can an organizer measure the impact or the what do we call it in the purpose it created in the beginning basically. So that's the I don't know, maybe that question is straightforward enough, or I need
Oh,
to
yes, it's very
repeat it.
straightforward. So, from
Yep.
the very beginning, we made sure that we collected everybody's data, everybody participating in the hackathon, whether you're a participant, you're competing, whether you just want to come and attend as a guest. Everybody registered and we collected your name, number, email, and everything. Why did we do that? We also created a WhatsApp group. So, apart from the Learning.tech platform where we already have all the teams registered, to participate. We also had a WhatsApp group again that we created recently just to keep in touch with all the participants while we iron out some of the follow ups, like the prizes, like the awards we distributed computers. Oh, by the way, we need to send some computers to you people in Mina. We have 3 computers to send to you. Um, so we are definitely keeping everybody close and staying in touch. We are going to be sending out a survey to all the teams to fill. It's already 1 month after our event. We're supposed to send that a month after our event. So I think we've just been occupied with elections, but we'll send that out so we can get feedback on everybody that participated. First of all, what your opinion about the entire event and process was, what you were able to gain, um, how complete is your solution, because we know everybody came to present and pitch their solutions. That's another thing that people were also able to practice. Nobody at that stage has ever stood in front of a large crowd to pitch a solution. Even programmers are always used to just being in front of a computer, working and working and working, but you've never really met a large audience like that you can say you want to present to. And that's the real world is about convincing people to patronize or buy your product. That's what life is all about. It's about convincing people. So if you're able to stand, um, some teams got members just strictly for presentation. That's what some people's job is in their team, just to come and present. So it's a huge part of the
Wow.
process too. So um, sorry,
Yeah. I guess.
going back to the so
Okay.
measuring impact. Yeah, we're also looking at the number of completed solutions that we're going to be able to have, which we're still pushing for everybody to do, and the success of all our participants a month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year after the event. We're going to be doing all those checks to see which one of our contestants or solutions have been able to make it far. So we're definitely going to measure how far everybody goes.
Yeah, thank you so much for answering our question and my question basically. Okay, and my team questions. Yeah, I guess you've done a good job at trying to relate our question to both organizers and the participants. But then there is one question specifically for the participant that we've not touched, and I feel like it's very necessary for us to talk about. And that is after the hackathon for the participants, what do you think should be their next steps? What do you think should be what they should be thinking, and how they can move on with their projects, and basically what's your advice, or what do you think on that?
I think my advice for everybody that took part is that you cannot do it alone. Many developers, some people will come and say that they are full stack, they can do everything. I mean, I can do both back end and front end. I can do design, I can do interfaces, I can do back end coding in JavaScript. But that doesn't mean I should now stay as a full stack developer that wants to do everything. Find what your strength is, find what you're best at, focus on that, and collaborate. When I say collaborate, it means work with other people, form teams. One thing that we ensured we pushed for in our case during our own hackathon is we encourage everybody to form teams. Some of the team members that we formed, they didn't even know each other before until our hackathon, and then you now started meeting new people and forming teams. In the real world, if you get a job somewhere, you can't select who your employees will be. It's whoever you meet there that you have to get along with and you have to, you know, be able to work with. So I think collaboration, working in teams, and making sure you don't try to do everything alone is the advice I will have. There's a lot of opportunity out there. We think about different ideas and we think, oh, it might be too late. Somebody has done it. there's still so much opportunity and so much room to build products and successful companies in Nigeria that even from our own hackathon, every single one of the challenges that we threw is a potential solution that we know has a market, you know. So I think that would be my advice. Collaborate, work with other people, form teams, start companies, build startups. Don't just sit down and think of continuing to do remote work forever and ever, and you want to earn dollars and you're earning remote work and you're comfortable. Yes, we know you're comfortable, but you can, instead of earning $3,000, $5,000, you can build a company that will be worth $10 million, can't you? It's very possible. So I want us to all aim higher than
Definitely.
just being comfortable working remote alone. No, build something, form a team, get somebody that can handle business, have somebody in charge of front end, have somebody in charge of customer service. Don't try to do everything.
Yeah, thank you so much about that. Like, I guess our viewer, they are really putting into the chats and putting their comments what they think about the session. Somebody said this is very enlightening enough for new techies, and yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, what will be my next question? I can call it second to the last question because we spent a lot of time on the show. Will be now that everybody has the participants came to an hackathon and the organizer organized the hackathon. That's why participants actually comes in. So what do you think, open source and hackathon? Do you have anything you can talk around that? Do you is there any way participants can leverage on open source? Is there a way an hackathon can focus on building tools basically to open source it without having other mindset of probably building a other software out there? Do you have anything to
So
say around that?
open source is very, very important because if you look at some of the things that we all use now, React, for example, is open source. Um, some of the libraries that we all use are open source. So if people didn't come together to create these tools, we would not be able to build on them. So the open source community thrives and lives on things like hackathons. Why? Because open source is not done for any immediate gain. you know it's like along with whatever work that everybody is doing, there's still open source is like your way of giving back and furthering and advancing your field or your area of specific or your area of specialization. um it would have been very lovely, even though we didn't do it in this case because we had a focus on e-government, if one can come together and have a hackathon and everything that is built in that hackathon is open for anybody to come and use or adapt. I think that's been done. There's several open source hackathons that have happened. That would be a very, very lovely way to push certain, um, should I say, advancements and discoveries. If I mentioned something about Facebook earlier, obviously, Meta, let me not use the word Facebook anymore, but Meta now definitely played a very huge role in advancing JavaScript libraries by creating React. Yes, it's something that they needed for their own platform, but they opened it up for anybody else who wants it to use, and it's one of the top language JavaScript platforms in the world. Same with Angular. Google created that as open source also from their huge community. And I'm sure they might have had several hackathons at several points along the way just to push certain aspects of what they are doing. So even though we did not do that now, it would be very lovely for us to see more open source uh, code come out, especially here in Nigeria. I remember when I was very active in WordPress, and I obviously with WordPress, if you've used it before, you know what a plugin is. And I used to be very excited every time I was on the WordPress plugin repo. Anytime I saw a plugin that was designed by a Nigerian, I used to be very excited. I used to be very happy. Or anytime I saw a plugin that was designed or developed by somebody that had ties to Nigeria, because what plugins are free, you can't charge for them unless maybe you have a pro or premium version. Um, but here, sometimes we're so tight-fisted that we don't want anybody to see our code. We don't want anybody to know what we're working on. We don't want anybody to see what we build. But you'd be surprised that sometimes in sharing, your work or something that you have done, you will find other people that will build on and even take it further than you would have imagined. And that's the secret behind collaboration. Collaboration cannot happen if everybody is paying or buying code from each other. But if there's some certain snippets and tools and plugins or libraries that we can build and just open for people to use, you can be building an app, and in the process of building an app, maybe you designed a very special component that you think other people might be able to use. There's no reason why you can't open that up and make it open source for other people, and it will still at the end it can never be a loss because it will still be a gain, a bigger gain for the ecosystem and the community than for you to keep it on your laptop or your GitHub by yourself.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very great advice. Like, okay, looking into open source, and while coming up with an idea for an hackathon, you can just look into a way of putting a way where you promote open source and you advise people to build with open source, and at the end of the day they build for open source, not just focusing on the monetary part of anything they are building. Yeah, I really appreciate you answering our question. Basically, what will be my last question will be your final thoughts. What do you think, what do you want to leave for everybody to go home with, or to stay in their room with? Some of them are watching us from their room, and some people will be watching it later in their room or in their offices or wherever they are. So what's your final thoughts for them?
My final thought now is that there's some few industries that are doing us very proud right now in Nigeria. The first is music, and then there's tech. These are industries that have boomed and done well without much government interference or intervention in any way. The potentials are endless, and having tech skills is like having a cheat code. To be very honest, in this society that we are in right now in Nigeria, it's a cheat code because a tech skill can remove you from any issue that we are all facing or whatever you think might be going on right now. As a tech bro, you instead of complaining about exchange rates, unfortunately, some tech bros are happy about the exchange rates because it means more money for them. So while everybody is complaining and crying, you have a cheat code. I call it an ojoro where you are not affected. You know, you work for a company abroad. A lot of people in Nigeria are looking for jobs, sending their CVs up and down. All of you in school, you graduate. There's not many jobs waiting for. There's not even enough jobs waiting for everybody. But learning one of these skills automatically gives you like a ujoro where you are almost untouchable by certain things. Um, you start working, you start earning, you can even start earning money before you graduate, and know what direction you are going to face by the time you do, instead of getting out and start looking for what to do in the job market and standing in the sun looking for jobs. I don't wish that on anybody, honestly. And when I see the way things are and how young people are still struggling to find jobs, we really want to make things better, and we're hoping that things will get better. But until then, learn the tech skill, and employ yourself instead of waiting for somebody to employ you. I think those would be my last thoughts for now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for joining the show. We're really, really happy for having you, and you've shared a lot of things with us, from the point of our organizers to the point of participants, even to the impacts in the society, how people see hackathon and how participants will see hackathon, and their mindset, what it should be in their mindset, why thinking about, okay, I want to participate in an hackathon. Really appreciate you for everything that you have done, and there's no way we can show our gratitude than to say thank you so much for coming. We
You're
appreciate you,
welcome.
and we know that when we invite you next time to come and talk to us on this show, you'll be very glad to be here again. I will be very happy to see you once more.
Of course, of
All
course.
right. Thank you so much for coming. For that, this is exactly 15 minutes for this show. For
All right.
our listener, thank you so much for joining. And for further announcements, this is every month. every month show. We'll be having another show next month. Just subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell. You'll get a notification when we'll be having the next show. And basically, we'll be talking around open source again, and we'll be making an announcement around open source festival that will be coming up here in Nigeria, and how you can be part of it. So prepare, just subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Temilola, Mr. Temi Kolawalis. Basically, thank you so much for joining us, and our viewer, to everybody. Thanks. Bye for now.